Good afternoon. Welcome back to the B&H virtual event space. Special treat for you tonight. It's his first time joining us virtually, but he is no stranger to the B&H event space. Photographer and now feature filmmaker, Ejaz Khan. How's it going, man?
Wow, I love the intro.
We got to spice it up. Yeah, I know you were going to bring the energy, so I had to match it. I didn't want to, come out all flat and then have you completely outshine me on my platform. I had to bring you in right.
I think that was amazing. Thank you so much.
No, it's
Thank
great
you.
to have you. I know it's a little weird. We were just talking in the virtual green room how it's so different transitioning. Ejaz has all that energy, and it's like the mannerisms and the energy of in person. But he's harnessed it for us today. He's going to bring it into the virtual realm. So today we're talking about going from a photographer to a feature filmmaker. So Ejaz introduced a lot of elements of storytelling. So I'm sure we're going to get a lot into your process and the way you do things in both still and video, right?
Um, I don't know, simply because it's filmmaking 101 for me. I'm in kindergarten. So how much can I tell? I can only tell people that I can tell people all about my mistakes.
I love it.
And hopefully they'll learn from there, because I cannot give them tips and tricks. I'm not seasoned myself. This is my first feature film, and to make it actually more interesting for the audience, I'm going to tell you, no one on my team was a filmmaker or from the film business. Every single person, my editor, my producer, my sound person, actually my sound person, the person who really helped me with the boom and everything, he himself is he works at a ranch. So wow. He basically helped me because he's young, and I said, hey, I'm using this equipment, read up on it. Or go to YouTube and find out where and how and what to do, because I don't know how to do it myself. I'm a photographer.
That's awesome. So we're going to be learning along with you then. We're going to see the trial and the error, the mistakes and the problem solution.
Out all my mistakes, and I think I know for a fact that I'm not going to make those mistakes again, or at least I'm going to try not to make those mistakes again, and hopefully people will learn from it. So
awesome.
So no tips and tricks, people. Is just going to be a show where I'm going to tell you what I did wrong and how so many wrongs can make a right.
That's awesome. I love that approach, and you got my interest. You got it peaking over here. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Ejaz. You guys all know the drill. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to get them in, and we'll see you in a little bit. I'm going to go off screen here. Ejaz, take it away.
Cool. All right, guys. So like I said before, you're not going to really learn I cannot give you tips and tricks and what to do and how to do it. And I don't know. I just don't know. I know what I did wrong, or so I think. And if you can learn from that, I think that would be great. Can I learn from it? Yeah, I think I'm definitely not going to make the same mistakes that I did in the past while we were making. This film has taken me about 2.5 years to make. Not because I started the film and I went and I finished filming in one shot. It was never one shot. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the film, but before I tell you about the film, I'm going to tell you that before this film started, before I thought I could or I wanted to make this film, I was just having fun. I was having fun going all over the world. This was in the Arctic. I was going all over the world, taking photographs of animals, wildlife. Then my big concern and my big want and issues were, how do I make this animal react to me? How do I make this animal give me something that is connected? How do I get the emotion out of this animal? Wolves, they can tear you apart. I've been as close as 10 feet from them. So that was my focus. The focus was wildlife, taking pictures, getting images back that had some kind of emotion to them that people would connect and love at the same time. I'm not looking for a horror film here. Moments like this where the snowy owl was so close to a touchdown. I call it a touchdown, but so close to the snow that right before it lands, I get the shot. Snowy owl over here, where right before it lifts off and the wings are up, and he is looking at me. That's a he, by the way. And he is looking at me. That's what I wanted. So it takes patience, takes time, but that's the goal. That's the goal in wildlife. That's what you want. Over here in Camargue in France, we have horses. Now I want the horses to look big, ginormous, muscular. But at the same time, I want the moment. I want the moment that guy was looking at me. And by the way, this is not the first time I had shot this horse. I had shot them before. And I knew that he would do that. I knew that the minute another horse takes over and goes ahead of him, he's going to start biting him. But I'm laying down in the water. I am literally laying down in the water, taking these images. And I know that he knows that I'm here. And I know that he's going to come close to me. And then he's going to open apart. And they're all going to go their way. And I'll be safe. Or so I think. So those were the goals. Those were the challenges. And then shooting images like this, how do I get everything in the scene that's blurry? But how do I get the eye sharp? Those were the huge challenges. I used to sit down and think about it and do the math and what can I do and how can I do it and discuss it with the people that are helping me do these take these photographs and everything. And I'm running around all over the world, literally. What an amazing, what an amazing life. And I'm really grateful and thankful for everything that I do and enjoy. And then I get a phone call from a friend who is a horse advocate here in New York, in Long Island. And she says to me, Ejaz, why are you running all over the world? Why aren't you photographing the American horses? American horses need help as well. So the reason why she said help as well is because every time as a wildlife photographer, every time we sell an image, we donate a portion of that to the Horse Conservancy or to the snowy owls or to the Arctic wolves. Yeah, because my principle has been very simple. When I'm a fashion photographer as well. So when I shoot fashion, I hire a model, I pay her. When I'm going to shoot animals, who do I pay? So bottom line, that's how it generated, that conversation. And she says, you are taking images of all these French horses and you're going all the way over to Norway. And why not American horses? Why don't you go take pictures of American horses, sell those images and donate to them? I didn't make much of it. A month and a half later, my tickets are booked. Amanda has booked my tickets and I'm off to North Dakota. So I get there. I meet a gentleman by the name of Paul. I meet a gentleman by the name of Frank. Now, Paul owns the land. Frank owns the horses. I'm just taking a walk. And all of a sudden I hear this thunder. I'm like looking up. Maybe it's going to rain. I'm not sure. It's not rain. It's 300 horses. 300 horses running at me. Of course, Frank was with me and Paul was with me and everybody was there. And nothing was going to go wrong. But that was the magical moment for me. That was a moment where it was the golden hour, so to speak. The light was absolutely perfect. I didn't have my camera with me. This was my first day there. I didn't have my camera. I was just walking around, literally trying to see what the location is. And when I saw this, you know, magic happened. Something happened to me. I just fell in love with the land. I fell in love with the horses. I fell in love with that smell when the horses run and they have all that going on. Um, so being that the black and white person that I am, clearly, right? Black and white. So black and white person that I am, I went back to North Dakota. I shot some more, and I went back and I shot some more, and I went back and I shot some more. You know, addicting, addicting. I was addicted to these horses. I've shot 10 horses, maybe 15 at a time, but 300 horses was a lot. Here's how they look in snow. So that's Frank Kuntz. That's the herd when you see them all together. And there's a story to these horses. And the story is that basically these are Sitting Bull's horses, descendants, I should say, descendants of Sitting Bull's horses. And they are already used to being around humans because of the culture that the Native Americans had. And because of that, these horses are special in a way where they help humans. Someone who has a lot of anxiety, such as me, or such as Frank, um, these horses help calm you down. They've known to help autism, Down syndrome, people that are depressed. You spend time with these horses some way, somehow. I don't know. It's not scientific, but I know that it helps. I know it helped me. It definitely did. I know that it helped Frank. Frank himself has a crazy, crazy, amazing story. Frank, when he was 19, I think 18 or 19, he was drafted. He went to the Vietnam War. He saw so much nonsense back in the Vietnam War that he turned to drugs. Frank, when he was there, he turned to drugs. The other thing that happened to him was he came back with cancer. Frank came back with cancer because of Agent Orange. And all of this because he served our country. He came back with PTSD. You do that in front of Frank, even now, he jumps. He jumps. He literally jumps. The phone rings in his pocket and he jumps. He still has that PTSD. So the more I started to go to North Dakota to photograph these horses, the more and more I started to know about Frank's life. And the more I found out about Frank's life, the crazier I got. And the crazier I got is because how could this story not be told? How could the world has to know about this story? This is a story that people need to know. The story about Frank, of course, Vietnam War veteran, comes back with cancer, PTSD, turned to drugs. And what happens to him? He goes and he buys few horses from the Theodore Roosevelt National Park. He buys some of the Nakota horses. He goes buy some more. He starts to breed them, him and his brother Leo. Um, it helps him kick the drug abuse. It helps him in every which way possible. 40 years down the road today, Frank has 300 horses. 300 Nakota horses. And he's doing every single thing in his strength to keep them alive. And the reason why I say to keep them alive is because, I have two boys. You send them to college and there's an expense over there and you got to take care of your family and so on. Now, this guy, I call him a guy because, Frank has grown to be a good friend of mine. He has 300 children he's got to take care of. Not one, not two, not three, but 300. Do you know how much they eat? I've seen it. How much care, nurture, and so on they require. So that's his story. And I just had to tell the story. And as far as Frank is concerned, he's not doing anything. All he's doing is protecting his family. That's what he says. So here is a clip from our film Vanishing Knowledge. And what it is it's reality. Our film is made with a real story, but all we did was we made them reenact what happened a few years ago into a script that we bent a little bit to make it a little bit more interesting for the audience, which I think I had to. Anyway, here's the scene. I mean, just a part of the scene.
Just worried about my horses, Paul. They almost were extinct at one time, and I just ain't gonna let that happen again.
I can't blame you, Frank. You've put too much into it, and I don't know. Have you spoke to anybody else about this or anything? Have you contacted anybody like Christine or?
Oh, I'm needing a home, and I'm looking for a 50-year lease for these horses on your land. That's what I want to talk to you about.
Boy. That's exactly where everybody in that world is. When I say that world, I mean the world of Frank Kuntz and Paul and so on. Boy, because it is a issue. 300 lives are going to be homeless. And why are they going to be homeless? Because remember Frank, when he went to Vietnam, he came back with cancer. Today, the doctors are not giving him much time. The horses belong to Frank. The land belongs to Paul. Paul has his own family. Paul has his own life. He wants to help because these horses have helped him as well. But how do you take over or adopt, I should say, 300 horses? Boy, that's exactly right. Boy. So, being that I am just so into this story that I want to tell it, and I say to myself, who can tell this story better than me? Here, I'm a photographer, and I think that I can tell this story better than anybody else on this planet. So I decide I come back to New York and I say to myself, making a documentary. That's what photographers do, right? These days, we go from taking great photographs to making documentaries. It's easy. So I thought. I went to North Dakota. I went there and I wrote down what the questions that I needed to ask Frank. I took his interview. I took Paul's interview. I took everybody that was involved. I took the interview and I'm like, yes, we have a documentary. I come back to New York, put it together on the computer. I don't know how to edit. Nobody in my team really knows how to edit. I'll talk to you about a gentleman by the name of Jess who's on my team. Unbelievable guy, my backbone. I asked him and he said, let's give it a shot. So we put the first documentary together. It looks horrible. Horrible. I'm so disappointed in myself. I'm so disappointed that I really could not do any justice to his story, to Frank's story. Not Frank's story, to the horse's story. So I go back to North Dakota a month and a half later, and I write the questions differently, and I carry different lighting. I'm a photographer, right? So lighting is important to me. And I go back and I do the same thing. I do my documentary and I'm taping and I'm using a film camera. Wow, amazing. I come back to New York, put it together. Bad. Even worse than the first one. I do that 2 more times. I did a total of 4 documentaries. I went back, questioned them, came back with footage, blah, 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 everything that you need to do to make a documentary 4 times. Horrible. Now everybody's laughing at Ejaz. Yeah, not everybody's laughing at Ejaz. Everyone's like, what are you doing? When's the documentary coming out? I have no answer for them. So I turn around and I say to myself, I got to fix this. The story has to be told. How do I tell a story? I come from a family that's in film business. And I say to myself, you know what? From the fire to the frying pan, why not just make a feature film? Everybody laughs at me. I laugh at myself. Literally, I don't know how to make films. Zero. Never done that before. So what do you need to make a film? I call my family and I say, what do I do? How can I make a film? I have a great story. My cousins, my brother, they're all in the film business. So they say, Ejaz, why don't you just first write a story? Once you write the story, you'll be able to put it together. So I go ahead and I write a story. I write the story. I don't know how to write a story. Apparently, there are all these different things you got to do. It has to hit a certain mark and it has to do this and it has to do that. And I'm a photographer. I don't know how to write a story. So I'm calling Frank. I'm calling Paul. I'm calling Christine. Christine, by the way, is someone who actually uses Frank's horses in Pennsylvania to do therapy with people that have depression and autism and Down syndrome and so on. Anyway, back to her later. But bottom line, I'm calling these people because I don't want it to be documentary because I've kind of given up on myself being a documentary maker. So I say, let's just make a script which is real. I'll twist and turn the dialogues and the scenes a little bit and the feeling and emotion a little bit, but let's just make a film. So I'm calling them up, getting all the information, jotting it down. Now I come up with a script. And the script is 64 pages. Now, YouTube, hats off to them. Google, just incredible. Friends, family, people in the film business who I don't know, just touched upon, everyone is giving me tips. I'm learning from YouTube, I'm learning from Google, I'm calling up friends. How do I do this? What do I do? Blah, 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 family. But it just went on and on. I drove everyone insane. But I'll be honest with you, I was being driven insane by these horses. I just could not stop thinking. I had to tell the story. I just had to tell the story. Bottom line, after writing the script, I learned that in the film business, one page equates to 1 minute of film. So if I have 64 pages, it's going to give me 64 minutes, an hour and 4 minutes. The plan is out the door. In the film business again, so I'm told, if your film is not 85 minutes long, which means I believe it's an hour and 15 minutes, then you can't really feature it as a feature film, which means you cannot sell it, which means if you don't sell the film, what am I making the film for? For my ego, maybe? If I cannot sell the film, how am I going to help these horses? So bell went off and I said, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I know I'm going to come across so many issues. Let's say we make these horses my partners. Let's say we go and give 49% of all profits over to these horses. I hope Frank lives forever. I hope we all live forever, but I don't think that's going to happen. Frank's case, he's got an issue that he's got to fix. These 300 lives are going to be homeless. So I decided to give 49% over to these horses after the film was made, released, and purchased. I didn't know, which I'm going to get to later. I didn't know how to do that. So bottom line, not 10%, not 20%, but 49%, I decided we're going to give it away to the horses. I take some more lessons. I said, to hell with the script. It's 64 minutes long. 64 pages long. We'll make it work some way or the other. On YouTube, and in one of the lessons that I was taking, and in some of the friends that I was speaking to, they say, Ejaz, you must do a shortlist. What is a shortlist for me? I had no clue. A shortlist is basically a list of all the shots you want for your film from the starting to the end. Vanishing Knowledge has 2,800 shots. What that means is I had to do 2,800 sketches. And I am such an unbelievable artist. You'll see. I started to sketch. I don't know how small or big this is on your screen, but just to explain it to you a little bit over here, this is my shot list. This was for scene 12. So here it is. So this is a window. This is a table. I don't know if you can see that. This is a table. This is a horse. These are the 2 ears, eyes. This is my character, Frank. He's got a brush in his hand and he's got a carrot holding in the other hand. There's a car at the back, a truck, and we are looking out the barn through a door. So this sketch basically goes to, when we went and we filmed, it looks like that. The table, the truck, my amazing horse with his 2 ears and 2 eyes, Frank with his hat. He has the brush. I forgot the carrot. I did forget the carrot, sorry. Otto, Frank's horse, does not eat carrots. He only eats apples. So here's another one. It says, here's the horse, that's Otto. That's Frank with his hat. That's another shot where Frank is basically going to say to the horse, we are not as young as we used to be. By the way, this is my horse. The 2 years, I forgot to draw the eyes and so on. That's Frank. And this basically comes to the film looking like that. So yes, shortlists are very important. Thank God for shortlists. Thank God that I learned that there's something as a shortlist. Oh, by the way, it relates to this. This is the video that came out of that
Just
entire.
worried about
Oops,
my horses,
sorry.
Paul. They almost
Sorry, guys, that's not it. So bottom line, it's this, and it comes to in the film like that.
Morning, Otto. You and I are not as young as we used to be.
So it is so helpful, and the community and the people are so helpful trying to teach you and show you the right things. I am so grateful. I am so grateful for everyone's help. I didn't know that these things existed. I was living in my own world of photography. By the way, this is another shot. That's my horse. That's my horse. That's Christine. That's a car coming in. So when we went and we filmed it, it turned out to be like that. That's my horse. That's Christine. That's the car coming in. And I know you guys may be laughing, but I really consider myself to be an amazing sketch artist. Look at that. There's a car, Lisa, Lacey at the back. This is the branches of the tree. That's my horse. That's Christine. So it comes to right there. Christine, horse. So yes, these are the things that went right for us. These are the things that all worked out. This is an interesting one. This is the back of a car, back of a car seat. The wiggly thing you see here is the glove, and it's scene 6, shot 4, mom's walking out. And then over here we see the two characters. We see Christine, we see the tree, and I forgot to draw the horse. So this in the film looks like that.
This is going to be fun, honey. Lacey? It's her gloves. She forgot her gloves. I'm gonna go get them. Okay. It's okay, Lacey. And Mommy's gonna get your gloves. It's okay. Okay.
So I have to tell you, you may be a photographer or you may be a banker, but these days there's so much on the internet. I'm not making it simple. I have made so many mistakes. I'll continue to make a lot of mistakes, but there's so much information. And there's one thing that's really, really important is your support system. And my support system comes from my family. My support system comes from my friends, my crew, my cast. Everyone that's involved in the film has been my support system. They put their faith and trust in me, and I had to do whatever it took to do the right thing by the film, to do the right thing by the horses. By the way, that's our youngest star, Beckett. I absolutely love him. Now over here, I don't want to say who's who. I cannot really take all the names because you guys are going to get bored. But all I'm going to say is we have a lot of actors in here and we have a lot of crew in here as well, because that's how it happened. We didn't have a boom person, an actor became our boom person. We didn't have an actor, a boom person became the actor. I mean, it was a mishmash of all talents, but we had just one goal. And the goal was, once this film is done, we will be able to take care of these horses that can speak for themselves. Horses that may be homeless. So as far as the art department is concerned, we actually didn't need an art department. Not because we didn't need one, because number one, we couldn't afford an art department, number one. Number two, the art was already there. I was filming in Frank's house. Shelley, Frank's beautiful wife. My God, did she have patience with me. I would go into her house and I would shift things around, but she dealt with it and she supported me all the way. All the way. And I think that's what it is. I think filmmaking is basically getting support and accepting it from every single person that could give you something.
Rolling camera one.
So I'm going to tell you guys a little bit story about how it is to work with people that are not professional actors, but they are acting for you, so they are actors. So Frank has not, that's Frank. Frank has not really seen a movie camera in his life. I mean, he's seen cameras, but he hasn't seen movie cameras in his life. Now, forget seeing a movie camera and being in front of a movie camera. Here is the big concern. Frank, you have to deliver dialogues. Not just deliver the dialogue, you also have to turn a certain way. You have to take 3 steps, deliver the dialogue, take 4 steps on the other side, and sit down and write a diary. Now, say that to a person who's not a professional actor. Why? Because I want to get my shot sharp. Because if I don't get my shot sharp, what's the sense of doing anything? So we had to go through takes. We did takes, overtakes, 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 overtakes. Sometimes we did 128 takes. People were frustrated. I was frustrated. Everybody was frustrated. But we still had that one goal. What can we do to support these horses? So here's something that I think you guys are going to laugh at. Here you go.
Scene 16, take 36.
Hey, Krista.
16, take 37.
Hey, Krista.
Take 38.
Hey, Krista.
Good morning, Dad.
Hey, Krista.
Hey, Krista.
What are you working on?
So here's another thing. Getting to a place where you have to deliver the dialogue when you're turning, I would forget too. Sometimes Frank was forgetting to deliver the dialogue, or Paul was forgetting to deliver the dialogue, or they were delivering the wrong dialogue. Now, how do we take care of that? So the sound, the voice that you hear is from Ben. Ben was behaving as my boom person that day, but he's an actor as well, actor in the film. So the way we went around doing this was Ben was saying Krista's lines. Krista's the daughter. And Krista was saying Frank's lines. So Frank could listen to those lines and just repeat them again. So he didn't have to remember it.
Just fixing this. Where's Beckett?
Just fixing stuff. Where's Beckett?
So
Rolling camera one.
things we did that were not normally done, or I think not done normally on a film set, but we did whatever it took. All of us did whatever it took. So here is another scene where we have Donna. It's about 15 degrees in Pennsylvania. We're sitting at Christine's ranch. That's where she is. And that's Paul. Frank, I think you can recognize his hat here. It's 15 degrees. It's cold. And here I'm asking my actors, which are not actors, but people, to perform. So look at that.
Scene 64, take 31, clap went off. 1, 2, 3.
Why without you?
No. Yeah, actually,
Ah,
it's okay. It's okay.
look, my left hand is numb now. My toes and hands are going numb.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
So, it was work. It was a lot of work. But at the same time, we had a lot of fun. Here is something when you shoot a scene with a family, and you know how the family dynamics is. Everybody's pulling each other's leg and they're all friendly and so on, and they're picking on each other. So here's Paul. Paul, I think, has made a mistake in taking the wrong name. Instead of saying Frank, he says Ben. So this is how it goes.
He's asking us to do a 50-year commitment on our farm and ranch to make sure these horses are going to be taken care of.
50 years. That's a stop, Mom. Mom's laughing. Yes, Paul said bad. I know.
So that was that. We had fun. We really had fun. Everybody had fun. Everybody enjoyed. There were moments, like everywhere else. There were moments. I was learning. People put faith in me. I was trying to do the best that I can. A photographer, all of a sudden, acting. I was acting. I was acting to be a director. That was my job. I was doing my acting work. But while I was doing my acting, I was doing my homework. So I was doing my studies at night, and then I was coming and playing the part in the front as a director and directing everybody. And that's how it went. So after 2 years of filming documentaries and turning it into a feature film, we actually called it a wrap. This was in Pennsylvania. This is Christine at the back. That's Frank at her barn. And I said, okay, guys, the film is done and it's a wrap. So Frank gave me a great rap dance.
And cut. Oh, great. Woohoo.
So, I hope this is giving you guys the spirit that we were in, and how everybody was just going and helping each other and having fun and cursing at each other and helping. And we did all of that. It was just a blast. It was a blast for 2 years, and it was fun. Anyway, so I take all this footage and I come back to New York and I say, we're done. But were we really done? There's something that I actually missed in my schooling days of filmmaking, which was months ago, that there's something called a 180-degree line that the filmmakers follow. Yes, I had heard a lot about it, and I had taken lessons on how not to break that rule, the 180-degree rule. But bottom line, I was overly confident, maybe. I don't know. I said to myself, okay, I can do this. Not a problem. So we come back. A normal film, I'm told, I don't know, but I'm told, a normal film goes anywhere in between 6 to 8 terabytes. I came back with 32 terabytes of footage. Now we start to put the scenes together, and we come across another huge issue that I have created, which is jumping the 180-degree rule. Guess what? I go back to North Dakota. All the scenes that I made a mistake, I go back and I reshoot them. I come back to New York. I tell Jesse, we don't have an editor. You are going to be the one that's going to edit. You're younger. You can learn the software better than I can. Why don't you start doing that? But here is something that we must do before we can start editing. We must look at the footage 3 times over. 3 times. Every single scene has to be looked at 3 times before we can start editing. I know he wanted to kill me. 32 terabytes. I know Jesse wanted to kill me. I could feel him. And since this was COVID, Jesse was working from his home. I was working from mine. We would get up in the morning and jump on a Zoom at 8 o'clock. And every single day for 7 months. For 7 months, we played this editor's game. Jesse, hats off to you, man. I swear to God, I don't know what I would do without Jesse. That man not only is there for you, but no matter what, the technical knowledge, the editing, Jesse, I don't feel it this way. Okay, he would cut it a different way. Jesse, I don't feel this. Okay, he would cut it a different way. The patience, I mean, he's a godsend to me. Anyway, after 7 months, we finished this. We finished the edit, and in the film business, they say, okay, let's lock picture. Again, I'm not mocking the film business. I'm just saying because these are terms that are new to me. So we lock picture. I'm super happy. Jesse's super happy with what we have. And we turn around and send the files over to the sound department. Now, of course, the sound department, these are all professionals. They've won awards. And here comes a director that has just made his first film. And he's given them all the sound which they cannot use. So now he says to me, hey, Ejaz, where's the Foley? I mean, I knew what Foley was, but I thought they would just take it out of the scenes that we shot. He says, no, we got to go recreate all the sounds. The sound of the glove coming out, them walking, the grass, the wind, the hat blowing, the horses running. We had to recreate the entire film with Foley. And I'm not complaining. I just didn't know. I didn't know that you had to do that. I just thought it would come out of the footage. My ignorance. Bottom line, we finished that. Comes the next hurdle, and the hurdle is color correction. Oh, I can color correct. I'm a photographer. I'm good at this. I start to color correct. Now, DaVinci, the software, is way, way different than Photoshop. I know Photoshop really well. I can do anything. I shouldn't say that because most of my images are black and white. But anyway, I am having a really rough time. I'm literally crying. I don't know what to do. I started to learn on YouTube again, how do I color correct? I came across this gentleman by the name of Avery. Avery Peck. This man saved my life. He went, I called him up and I said, Avery, I'm taking lessons. I've seen some of your work, incredible work. And more so, I can understand what you're saying. Would you be able to speak to me? I had no intentions of asking him to work with me on this project simply because I didn't have the budget. I give him the whole story. I tell him about the horses. I tell him about Frank. I tell him what we are doing about donating 49% over to for the horses. And Avery, being the gentleman that he is, he said, Ejaz, I'm going to do this for you. You know, at the time when I was knocking on people's doors, I was crying, literally knocking on friends' doors and asking them to please help me color correct this. Not color correct it, but basically show me how to do it and I'll do it. No one. No one. Again, that's Avery's work. And he helped me transform this film from what it was to what it is today. Now the film is complete. September 26th, we completed the film. But here, another huge blunder on my part. Now what do? Oh, hey, we'll just give it to Netflix. We'll sell it to Netflix, we'll sell it to Hulu. Not a problem. That's easy. Your film is done. You've done the big thing. You finished a film. Nonsense. Making a film means nothing if you cannot sell it. And especially a film with a cause attached to it. We have a cause. We want to sell this film because just telling the horses that I have made a film on you guys is not going to feed them. So I start to contact September 26th, a few months ago, I started to contact Netflix. I started to contact Hulu, emails over emails, looking at them on LinkedIn, trying to find their social media. Yeah, I was hounding them. We came across about 740 emails from Netflix, from LinkedIn, Hulu, another 180 to 200. We send them emails. We have been sending them emails every single week from the past 3 months. Do you know how many replies we got? 0. No, I take it back. There was one reply. And the reply was, from Netflix. There was a girl, if I'm not mistaken, her name was, I don't remember, Jessica, I think. And she said, I just want you to know that you have reached the wrong department. And I emailed her back immediately. I was jumping up and down with joy. I thought, yay, we have it. I emailed her back and I said, Jessica, if you're the wrong person, can you connect me to the right person? Nothing. And yes, I have done my homework. And yes, I know that Netflix will not deal with you. And I know that Hulu will not deal with you directly. You have to go through some of their lawyers that they deal with, aggregators that they deal with. I know all of that. But how do I get in touch with them? I've tried to get in touch with Netflix lawyers. I've tried to get in touch with Hulu lawyers. Nobody gets back. Maybe that's a lesson I needed to learn before I started this film. That's a filmmaking 101. Learn where you're going to sell your film first before you go make it. Anyway, enough bitching. So bottom line, nobody answers me back. I keep going. And in my going, I come across a gentleman by the name of Robert. Actually, Christine's husband, who's a lawyer, Christine, the girl who runs the Nakota Horse Preserve in Pennsylvania, her husband, Chris, is a lawyer. I call up Chris. I'm like, Chris, I'm really frustrated. I just don't know what to do. Everyone is asking me, when are you going to release the film? When are you going to release the film? I have promised all the audience that I'm going to release the film in April. I made a huge mistake. It's already September, and I don't have a platform to put it in. When I say platform, I mean iTunes, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, blah, blah, HBO, whatever. We've collected the emails. We sent out emails, no response. Bottom line, Robert connects me to a gentleman by the name of Corral, who owns and is a partner for this company called Abaram. I cannot pronounce it. I'm sorry, guys. And he says to me, Ejaz, don't you worry. This is so far verbal communication, no paper signed so far. And he says, don't you worry, Ejaz. We are going to get you into a company called Giant, and Giant is going to put you onto iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Prime Video, and I think there's one more that I'm forgetting. I don't know which one that is. So the way it's going to happen is Corral is going to give me, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Corral. I apologize if I'm not. Anyway, he's going to give me a list of things that he needs. He needs the videos, he needs the sound, he needs this, he needs that, he needs the advertising, the pictures, the the contracts, the sign-offs, whatever. And I got to package all of that and give it to him. And then he's going to take that, go through his quality control, and he's going to come back and tell us everything that's wrong. And then he's going to take, I'm going to correct it, give it back to him. He's going to take it and give it to Giant. And then Giant's going to do the same thing again. And then after Giant is done doing the same thing and banging Ejaz on his head and his entire team, we'll fix all those problems and we'll give that to Giant. And not that they're doing anything wrong, they're only helping us. And then Giant is going to take that and put that into iTunes. And guess what? iTunes and Google and Amazon is going to do exactly the same thing. They'll pass it through their quality control. So here's the catch. You know, when you deal with someone like in Netflix or Hulu, they buy your film outright. What that is, they buy your film, you make your profit, you give it to the horses. But in iTunes, Google, Amazon, they don't buy your film. What they do is they give you the license to stream it out of their platforms. So every single person that goes and rents the film or buys the film on any of these platforms, iTunes does their due diligence once every 3 months. If there are 100,000 people, they do the math, they send it to Giant. Giant keeps its commission, sends it to us. Sorry, sends it to Corral. Corral then sends it to us. Everybody takes their commission in the end. I get what I get. I take my profit, I take my cost out, and then I give it to the horses. And the reason why I'm telling you all of this is very simple. If I have 10 people watch the film on iTunes, I'm going to get, I don't know, $300. Because sometimes it could be $2.99, it could be $4.99, or it could be $5.99. I don't even get to choose that price. The price, the cost is chosen by the platforms. Again, another thing that I didn't know that I should have learned. Bottom line, if you guys can tell your friends, and if you can tell your friends to tell their friends, that would be so, so helpful. So helpful. Because the more people see it on these platforms, the more I'll be able to get, the more I get, the more I give. And the more I give, the more problems are solved. These 300 stomachs have a lot of appetite. Anyway, I'm going to leave you guys with all of this. Watch the trailer. Please sign up. VanishingKnowledge.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Tell your friends. Tell them to tell their friends. Tell their friends to tell their friends. And hopefully this will multiply and we will be all together helping each other. Will help these 300 lives with no voice whatsoever. So that's my story on making a film. I'm going to have you guys, if you're not bored of Ejaz talking so much, I'm going to have you guys watch the trailer. And if there are any questions, if we have the time, I'll take them. Oops, what happened here?
The more I read about these kill buyers, the more worried I get about Frank's horses.
The last thing I want to see is these horses going to slaughter.
He's looking at us to do a 50-year commitment with our farm and ranch to take care of these horses.
50 years is a really long time.
They've done so much for me. You guys don't even understand how much they've helped me.
But look what I found on Frank the other day. I didn't know that Frank's been fighting his whole life to save this horse breed.
You cannot imagine how much these horses have done for Lacey. I wish we could do this for so many more people.
Touch it, Doing really good. It's okay. You did so good.
Gina's Michael's friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good job. It's her gloves. She forgot her gloves. I'm gonna go get them. Okay. It's okay, Lacey. And Mommy's gonna get your gloves. It's okay. Okay.
Just worried about my horses, Paul. They almost were extinct at one time, and I just ain't gonna let that happen again.
My entire childhood, I watched you borrow money and take care of these horses. It's time to take care of yourself now. When's the last time you were at the doctor?
Mr. Kunz, the doctor will see you now to go over your lab results.
The horses will be taken care of. We'll make sure of that. Please tell me what the doctor said. What's gonna happen to his herd? Where are they gonna live? I don't know what's gonna happen to his herd.
All right, guys, here is my last plug-in. How do you say it? EjazKhanEarth.com, of course, images, wildlife, Vanishing Knowledge. Please, please, please sign up for the newsletter. And this film is now in the making. It's called Trapped. It's about human trafficking in the United States. As soon as we put this Vanishing Knowledge on platforms, we will be jumping on this. We started the story writing and so on, but this will be coming up soon. And I promise I will not take 2.5 years to make that one. All right, thank you.
Awesome, Ejaz, thank you so much.
Not at all.
We have a question already in from Kat asking about Frank and his horses. Is the best thing for people who want to know about things such as donating, volunteering, any information regarding Frank and his horses, should they sign up at vanishingnowledge.com? Is that the best way to stay in touch?
Yes, I believe that is, because like I said, the more people watch it, the more we can give. And again, it's not something that we are doing for 10%, 20%, it is 49%. So the more people watch and the more people tell other people, the better and more secure they get the horses. So please sign up, vanishingnowledge.com.
Perfect. And I saw Robert said he's not able to find it on Amazon. Do you have a link, Robert? We're gonna work on that. We'll also get the link dropped in there for all of you watching on Vimeo, Facebook for vanishingnowledge.com.
It's not on the platforms yet. I think I may have not skipped that, but it's gonna get to the platforms. I'm gonna say within the next 2 to 3 months, 4 months, maybe. It all depends on, I'm new at this. It all depends on how much time they take to do the quality control and how much time it takes for me to clean up the requests that they have.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this has to be such an eye-opening experience for you, Ejaz, especially going from the world of stills where it's fairly simple when you think it's difficult until you go into moving images and all the stuff that goes along with it. What was your biggest, like, just blindsided you kind of moment? Was there something that really you didn't see coming even with your preparations?
Many times. It wasn't
every day.
It wasn't one day. It was every single. Mind you, I'm a photographer. I will still say I'm a photographer even after I've done 10 films, which I plan on doing. But no, it was every day. It was an eye opener every single day. The worst one that actually came to me was the one about the 180-degree rule that the film industry has. Oh my God, man, I thought I was so happy. I came back, I'm looking at the footage, and then I have my son sitting on the couch, and he's a movie buff, my younger one. Mm-hmm. And he turns and he says, and from there, he looks at my computer and he says, you jumped the line. I'm like, what are you talking about? Oh. And he points it out to me. That was it. he pointed out one scene, and then I went and I saw other scenes that had the same issue of jumping the line, and I hated him at that moment. I mean, hated him as much as a father can hate him, but he opened up a Pandora's box when I went and I did everything, and I saw all the scenes, and I love him for that. I mean, what an eye, Troy.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things that, like you said, you don't really, I guess you don't know everything that you have to research beforehand until you come across something while you're already waist deep in it.
Here's something that I want to say is, don't make a film before you have assisted at least 3 feature films. I shouldn't say that, or I should say that, I don't know. All I'm going to say is that it took me 2.5 years because I made so many mistakes. And if I were to assist a director before this, I think I would eliminate quite a amount of mistakes that I made. Since I was never on a film set, other than when I was young and I used to go to my dad's set because he was a film director himself, I didn't know not to make those mistakes. And I didn't go to school to learn filmmaking. So
that's a great point. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's sticky. It's like, do you tell people not to jump in by themselves and do it? Or do you tell people to just jump in and do it? I guess everybody's different. There's good and bad to both, right?
So it's simple. If you're good at getting punched and getting up again, jump into it, make the film yourself. But if you're the kind of person who gets punched and stays down, go assist someone before you can do it.
Perfect analogy. I like that. If you can't take a punch, go to the gym first, spar a little bit, and see what works, see what doesn't work. It works out. Now, from a gear perspective, it all always comes back to gears. Is it harder with when filmmaking?
So I have a story for you, which you don't know. And I don't think many people know. And I am shameless to say that I've forgotten the name. I do know one gentleman's name at B&H, and his name is David. So here's what happened. Since this was a one-man band, I didn't have a focus puller. And I'm going to say this, and Nikon is going to hate me for this. And I was using the Z6 camera. So now how do you use 2 cameras? You hit the focus here, you go to the other camera and you hit the focus there, and then you start recording. And there's only one person. I don't have an assistant. I'm doing it all by myself. Mm-hmm. I came back with horrible footage. The footage was not focused. And then they announced the Sony A7S III. And this is not a plug-in, and I'm not trying to get brownie points here. I'm really not. But when the A7S III was announced, I put in an order to B&H sometime in October. No, I left New York on the 23rd. And I believe in August, they had started to take the orders. And my orders had not come in, or July, something like that. My orders had not come in. I called up this gentleman because he's known me. I've been a customer of B&H for a long time. So I called up David and I said, David, I need your help. Please help me. I said, I'm due to leave on the 23rd. I got my cameras, the Sony A7S III from B&H on the 21st or the 22nd, something like that. And here I am driving. I had to drive because, didn't afford to fly with all the equipment. So I drove from New York to North Dakota with these new cameras. And after 12 hours of stopping and going into a hotel to relax, I opened up the manual and I'm reading how to use the camera. And it was Sony A7S III. And I have to say the Atomos Ninja. So equipment-wise, so a Sony A7S III, I would hit the focus button on this side. I would go on to the other camera. I would hit the focus button on the other side. And it was a breeze. Focus stuck. Every shot came out sharp.
It lets you focus on telling the story and handling everything else, especially as a one-man show.
Exactly. I'm being the DP over here. I'm being the director. I'm doing everything possible. And there's one thing less you got to think about is focusing. And
Definitely.
I have to tell you, with that combination of Atomos Ninja 5 and the Sony A7S III, man, I am saved.
Awesome. Now I have to tell you, I got a good laugh over here when you were showing the clip, and Frank it was like take 37, take 38. And I'm like, anybody who's ever worked on any production film, I don't care if it's a 30-second spot, you know the struggle of, okay, after 15 takes, it's like, all right, I'm just gonna take 2 minutes. I'm gonna go over here, I'm gonna catch my, my sanity. And so how did you guys, like, was there any trick that you guys employed to keep everybody loose? I mean, it looks like you guys had fun. It looks like everybody was loose. Everybody rolled with the punches, especially being that it was a production made of people who were kind of just figuring it out as you go. Was there, how did you guys keep it loose?
I have to say that I made everybody my friend. Every single person on the set is dear to me. And I think I gained their trust. So if I said, let's jump out of the 10th floor, they said, okay, let's do it. And honestly, that's all that there was. And it's not easy to be friends with so many different kind and different thinking people. But that's all that really got us through this is friendship, love. I mean, I went to North Dakota. It was minus 30 degrees. I didn't have pants. I had forgotten my winter clothing in New York. And there I'm walking around, and Jennifer, who basically works for Frank over there and is a part of the film as well, she takes out her sweatpants and gives them to me, and she's like, here you go, you got to wear these. Frank takes out his shoes and gives them to me. Paul is giving me, asking me to go sleep at his place because he wants me to be warm and comfortable. I mean, it is, if you want to choose your crew, yes, if you have talented crew that has worked the film industry, that's amazing. But if you don't have that privilege, then choose people you can love, and they should love you back.
That's great advice there. I mean, I think especially when you're talking about patience and people who are going to have patience, you want a crew around you that there's so much love and you're able to communicate without that tension. Because we all know that you're on a big production, whether it's for a photo shoot or whether it's a multiple weeks of filming, you have to be able to talk to each other. You have to be able to relate.
128 takes. 128 takes were actually for that particular scene that you guys saw. We did 128 takes. It took us about 3.5 or 4.5 days, something crazy like that.
Wow.
Frank is not a gentleman that cries. After we did that take and we finished that scene, I said, okay, we have it. He had tears in his eyes. Not because I was being an ass, but because he wanted me to have what I thought was 100%. And that only comes through love. It's not happening if you pay the actor. It's not going to happen unless you pay the actor insane amount of money. And
I'll cry if the check is right. I'll cry right now.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think the greatest thing from just the clips that we saw is it's real and it's genuine, and that's what resonates with people. Is I think you want to know more about Frank's story, and just Frank just being so real and raw, and that's why seeing that 37, 38 takes, it's like, that's what you get. These aren't seasoned professional actors. These are real people who are trying to deliver with their idea, with their emotions, in line with obviously the story that's being told. It's a collaboration between director and talent.
So we had a scene where Frank is rounding up the horses. So I say, take a stick and go, yay, come on, let's go. And Frank looks at me and he smiles and he's like, I'm not doing that. Now you catch an actor saying no to a director, right? He says, I'm not doing that. I said, why? He said, because I don't do that in real life. I said, okay, let's do what you do. He says, I look at them. I said, now how am I going to tell the audience that you're looking at the horses and the horses listen to you? You know, these are like his children. He literally looks at them and they know what he wants them to do. Now, I had to bend that a little bit. I had to give him a stick and say, come on, you don't have to be so loud, Frank, but do something. You know, so there was a lot of laughter, a lot of back and forth. I'm not doing this. This is not the way it happened a few years ago. And I'm like, but the audience needs it.
That's such an interesting point, Ejaz. I'm so glad you brought that up, because I don't think we get caught in this. Okay, there's a reality TV way over here, when I think we can all agree reality TV is not real at all. And then everybody says, well, look, I'm going to do things completely 100% genuine and real. But there's some things you just can't, that don't translate to the viewer. You have to get creative as a director and find a way to get that across to the viewer.
Yeah.
While still trying to be as genuine as possible.
Yeah. I mean, one of the biggest issues were counting your steps, delivering the line at a certain place. Here, I'm trying to make sure that everything is in focus. And then you walk another 4 or 5 steps, and then you sit down and you write your diary. I mean, you know, speaking about writing a diary, there is a scene in the film where Frank goes and he sits outside his barn and he's writing a diary. And I'm shooting the film from this side, and he's sitting over there looking at me and writing a diary. It was a wide angle shot. Now, Frank didn't know that my next shot is going to be over his shoulder, looking into the diary, and the audience is going to read what the diary says. So I say, okay, great. We have the shot. Let's go the other way, over the shoulder. And the first thing I look, and you know what he is writing? Ejaz, go home. Ejaz, go home. Ejaz, go home. Ejaz, go home. I mean, we had a huge laugh of that, you know. So yeah, they were sick of me. I was just going back again and again. I was that guy that would not give up, and they actually thanked me for that. But at the same time, I was getting on their nerves. You know, Frank's wife, you know, she's got cancer as well. And she allowed me to get into the house and move the things around. Shelley, I mean, thank you, Shelley, for doing everything you did for us. She was going through chemo when I was filming in her house. You know, the patience that she had for me was insane, was absolutely insane. You know, Barb and Paul, they invited me into their home, like, you know, you just do what you want. Just support was insane. Do whatever you want. You want to move the furniture, you want to sleep over here, whatever you want. Paul has a huge ranch. He said, it's yours. Do what you want. You know,
that's great.
Paul, I want a shot which is 500 feet above. Can I do that? Sure. Take my equipment. You know, he's got those, he's got equipment like you can't even imagine. Not film equipment, farming equipment. And he says, you can do what you want. I mean, I did whatever I wanted to do. You know, Christine over here in Pennsylvania, whatever I felt like doing, I did, and they let me do it. And I just happen to say that they let me do it because they love me.
That's great, man.
And I love them back. And that's how it is.
I got to tell you, Ejaz, I'm being 100% truthful here. This is way more inspiring than seeing a seasoned filmmaker try to inspire people to go and make a film. I think seeing the not so polished side of it, seeing the things you had to overcome, seeing things that you might not have thought of, it's like you would think it would be a little daunting in a sense to look at it. But I'm looking at it here as a still photographer saying, you know what, this makes me want to go dip my feet in. And it looked like it was such an exciting process and something that you can see the passion in the way you talk about it. And I think if it was super easy, it takes a little bit of that away. I see that, you know, it was something that, you know, you're passionate about, partly because of the experience that you're going through here, and partly because it's an accomplishment. I mean, this is this is no small deal to go out there and make a film. And the fact that you did it kind of just, hey, I'm gonna figure it out as I go is incredibly inspiring.
YouTube, Google, friends, family, love.
There you go. You guys heard that? Everybody out there taking notes. If you have that, I want you to, you can email Ejaz. If it doesn't work for you, just email Ejaz. Be like, Ejaz, what's up, man? I've been watching YouTube the last 6 months. Where's my movie? Now there's a lot of resources out there, and and if you're out there watching, add this to the list, bookmark this. And this is a great inspirational piece for everybody who's out there who says, I can't do it. I don't know what I'm doing. If you can figure out a Sony mirrorless camera on the road and get a nice video product out of it, anybody can do it, man. Right?
Yep. I say so. I say all you need is support, really. And the only way you're going to get support is to give support, So you support the people, they support you back. And it's simple as that. All the technical stuff, we were not born with in any case. We learned it, right? So hats off to Google, hats off how the world has become so small, hats off to YouTube. And it's all there.
There you go. You guys have everything you need out there. It's already in existence. You just got to go out there and seize it.
Yep.
That's it. Well, that sounds like a perfect ending point right there. I don't want to, if I say anything, I risk taking all this motivation and turning it to mush. But Ejaz, I want to thank you, man. This is just, like I said, incredibly inspiring. It's great to see your side of things. And I implore all of you guys to go out there, check out ejazkhanearth.com, vanishingnowledge.com, and trapped-themovie.com. Go out there, support our speakers, and go show some love for this film and Frank and his horses.
Thank you.
Ejaz, thank you. Any final words?
Nothing, just don't stop. Don't let anything punch you down. If I did come across that I'm being punched down by not landing Netflix or Hulu, I apologize. That's not really what I meant. I'm just saying that there's got to be some system in place where, and I'm human. So sorry about that.
That's it. No, it was great having you on. It's good to see you in the virtual space now. Hopefully one day we'll get you back in person over there on the second floor like old days.
Sure.
Sounds good. Well, Ejaz, a huge thank you to you again. And of course, to all of our viewers watching out there on the interwebs. That's it for another round of the B&H virtual event space. We're in the books. Everybody have a wonderful night.
Thank you.